everyone. Welcome to the Doppio podcast. My name is Emil, and I'm so fucked up. Today, we're going to be talking about the cinematic masterpiece, The End of Evangelion, directed by Hideaki Anno. So, I'm joined by my usual lovely co-hosts, the second and third children.
Oh no. Hi, I'm Castleman. I sometimes don't hate myself, and I'm from Georgia.
Hi,
Castleman.
I'm Renzo, and I'm Misato's husband, and I'm drinking Fanta right now.
Hold on a second, not on the podcast. We've had fights over fictional women before. But you're trying to do this while we're recording a podcast, Kafka?
For the audience, they've had fights over fictional women and real women, and I'm over here with like a mostly different taste in women, so I'm doing A-okay.
Okay. All right, buddy. We are joined today by a very special guest. My good friend, DHANI.
Hello, and I'm Pen. So hi, my name is Danny or Dahani, however you want to say it.
DHANI.
I'm a multidisciplinary artist and a production designer, and I'm from Miami.
Hey.
So this is a little Doppio Entertainment reunion here because DHANI, Castleman, and I have all worked on a bunch of projects together. And I'm so happy to have you on. Like, seriously, thank you for joining us.
I'm so excited.
Nice to meet you, Danny.
Nice to meet you.
I forgot this is
on
like
BC before. I'm pretty sure you guys have talked before.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Briefly for one time.
Okay.
Well, we're about to talk a lot and about depression.
Oh,
I'm very familiar.
Segueing over to a more related topic, Neon Genesis Evangelion. So, everyone, I think I want to go last on talking about this. But what's your history with Neon Genesis Evangelion, the series?
I think Danny should go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so actually, my experience with Neon Genesis Evangelion is Emil actually introduced it to me when we were in high school. And for a depressed, lonely kid, that show really hits. Um, but when I watched it the first couple times, I watched it in high school and college. It felt like I was like watching a dream. Like nothing felt real. So I've had to rewatch the show many times because every time I'm just so like in awe of it because it's so like just conceptual in ways that I really love. But yeah.
Castleman, what about you?
So my first experience watching End of Evangelion.
The series.
Yeah, and not the series, which was really quickly followed by the movie. But my first experience watching the series was, I think it had just been added to Netflix US, and I think it had happened like a little bit before this, but COVID happened. And all of a sudden, like I've gone from being out and about doing things with friends to being trapped up in my grandmother's condo and having almost nothing to do but stare at things on my laptop. And everyone's like Evangelion, and I heard about Evangelion. I think I'd had a friend who was really into it on Twitter at the time, and was like, you know what? I've got nothing else to do. The whole world's kind of in despair right now. I feel the most alone and trapped I've ever been. I'll watch this fun mecha anime. I think this will be great for my mental state right now. It wasn't, but it was also very good. I really like the show. I think I watched the whole thing in like less than a week, or yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. So my turn. So for Neon Genesis Evangelion, my very first exposure to this anime was I knew about the title. Um, I was on Facebook and I saw this picture of a guy in a chair, and then his hand became all monstrous at the shot from the end of Evangelion. But it's basically like a monster hand. And then you know how people on the comments would always say like sauce? Like what's the source? And
Mm-hmm.
then it's like someone replied Neon Genesis Evangelion. So I was like, and then I was like, okay, I'll watch this anime. Watch the anime. I was like, where is the shot of this dude where his hand becomes like a monster? That never happened. So someone someone sourced me a wrong anime, apparently. Watched the first couple of episodes. It got a little bit depressing, so I stopped. Then a few years later, COVID happened. Everything was depressing. Kind of in the same sentiment with Castleman. I watched Neon Genesis Evangelion by the time it was COVID, and I knew that the what is it? The fourth rebuild was coming out soon, so I was like, okay, might as well, get into the Evangelion journey. It's coming out like the following year anyway. So that's my overall experience with the anime.
Also, how old were you guys when you first watched Evangelion?
18, 18, 19. That's when the first time I saw it.
I must have been either 16 or 17, maybe.
I'm having like an existential crisis. How old was I in 2020?
It's all
Well, actually, it was exactly 4 years ago. Fun fact: like I watched Evangelion in March 2020, so it was exactly 4 years ago. So I was 22. No, wait.
Okay.
No, I'm 21. Oh, I'm 25 now. Shit. Yeah.
All right. So, the first time I witnessed anything relating to neon jellyfish Elon Musk was on the thumbnail of a video reviewing the series by a YouTuber named Glass Reflection. I don't know if you guys know who that is.
I don't know who that one is.
He's a Canadian anime YouTuber. He's like one of the old school anime YouTubers. He's great. He's put out some great content, and he like kind of led me to find some of my favorite series. But he had a video on Evangelion, and I don't know why I clicked on it, but it just like I think the thumbnail, it was some of Yoshiyuki Sadamoto's art from the manga, and I don't know why it just like reminded me of like old school Pokemon, like the old school Pokemon Ken Sugimori designs, and I was like super into that style, so I was like, I kind of want to see what the show's about, having no idea what it's about. Well, I watched the video. He said some very interesting things about the series. I didn't really get it, but I decided to watch it on a legal site because the series was just not available in America at the time. I want to mention I was 14 years old when I first watched Neon Genesis Evangelion, and it is not an overstatement. I don't know, is that a word? Overstatement. I would not saying it changed my life would not be overstating the situation. It was such a big deal to me at the time, and was the first true piece of like complex adult media that I had like ever consumed, really. And honestly, it really like changed the way I viewed the world in a lot of ways. I had always had feelings of depression. I had heard the word, but I never had any description of that feeling that was kind of put in a way that felt accurate to my experience as closely as Evangelion. And it really made me think about how I just existed. I don't know. It was something that I don't know. I was 14 or 15 in my English class in ninth grade, and my professor asked us to write a paper on something that changed our life, an experience that changed our life. And I remember everyone wrote about like some trip or like an experience they had with someone. I wrote about the experience of watching Neon Genesis Evangelion. And I got a C on the paper. It was a pretty bad paper. But that was I don't know. It was the first time I had felt so strongly about a piece of media that I wanted to write about it. So it was I adored Neon Genesis Evangelion despite not really understanding it at the time. But it was very formative in my taste in media and in my taste as an artist and as a director. It's really been my biggest inspiration, really. Hideaki Anno particularly is one of my favorite directors and one of the ones that I admire the most. So I was yapping, but expect a lot of my yap in this episode.
I mean, hey, it's it's appropriate. It is for everyone listening when we're recording it. It is Emil's birthday tomorrow.
Yeah.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Thank you.
This is his. We probably should have said it up front, but this is Emil's birthday spectacular.
So I made everyone watch End of Evangelion.
Exactly.
Hell yeah!
Yay.
Or you better get some Fanta tomorrow. I'm just saying.
Some Fanta. I'm so fucked up. So yeah, and Evangelion's great, but let's talk about the series a little bit. Okay, where do we start here?
Oh, go ahead.
Where do we even begin? This is such a big and dense series. I want to talk about the series a little bit before we go into End of Evangelion. I think this is important pretext. But let's focus on episodes 25 and 26, which are pretty linked to End of Evangelion. How do you guys feel about those episodes?
Well, I do have notes for the episodes before those episodes, though.
Oh, you do? Okay. I mean,
yeah. Well, I was like, I mean, I feel like I could talk about 25 and 26 for a while, but I kind of like to just get into some brief points about the rest of the show before we get into
before you get the ending. Okay, we'll cut this part out.
Or we can have a segue or whatever. I don't mind. Yeah. So I find the first part of Evangelion kind of interesting. And this rewatch was also very interesting for me because this was my first time rewatching the series after I've seen the rebuilds. Like, for further context with my Evangelion experience, I watched the show, and then in 2021, I saw around the time right before 3.0 plus 1.0 came out, I watched all the rebuild films. And I feel like going back to the original series after you've seen those, it's like an interesting and very different experience because like. You're like getting like a sort of clue in onto okay, this is how it used to be, and like I've the rebuilds is like a whole different monster. Maybe we'll talk about those on a later episode.
That'll be a different video, I think.
Yeah. So it's so interesting because like I can definitely tell like there's like a lot of constraints on these episodes, but like even the episode like. The framing and shot composition and like the color and light work on even episodes where it feels like that they're either running out of time or budget or whatever is really happening behind the scenes, like it's so precise and well done, and it really elevates like this material where I feel like honestly a lot of the episodes, it's pretty well written, but I feel like if it wasn't like put together as well, I may have clocked out earlier when I was first watching this. But like really sinking in on this rewatch, it really sort of hit home how good Hideaki Anno is at just directing and animating and everything, and really running a great team.
On that point, actually, one of the things I love about Evangelion is that it is an original anime. Like, it is not based on any manga, though there was a manga made after based on the anime.
Yeah.
So this is basically Hideaki Anno's just the purest way he's expressing his feelings of depression that he experienced at this time. Like, and it shows in every single frame of this show, I feel. Every single frame. And I feel like the animation was a really big part of that, because Anno thinks truly unlike any other director I've seen. Like, the brutality of his edits, like, it's just I can't even put it into words, but it's just like it's an assault on the senses in the best way.
And
Um,
the sound design is really good.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
just the way he uses like crickets or cicadas, like in certain moments, it kind of fucks you up, honestly. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, there's like some really good usage of like ambient sounds in this show.
It's like it's so silent that it's so loud. But I was thinking, because I honestly I don't remember much of the last two episodes. I'm in my rewatch now, and I'm only like halfway through. I just remember watching episode I think 26 and seeing all of that like multimedia, like the way that instead of using like animation cells, they started end up using like paper and pencil like animating, and they were like filming people, whatever. That like really, as a visual artist, kind of like showed me like how well you can convey that sense of like spiraling almost, you know? And it just like visually without having to rely upon like a literal like this person spiraling. Like it was like you said, like an assault on the senses, but like in the best way possible because it really conveyed those feelings.
Oh yeah, and I haven't asked you this, Castleman, because I did want to wait for the podcast. Did you watch dub or sub?
I watched what did I watch? No, I watched a dub.
Okay.
I will say
'cause-
actually there were a couple moments where I just sort of turned on the sub. So
Uh-huh.
I didn't go through full on. I kind of switched back and forth at a couple moments.
Yeah.
Just so
Megumi Ogata's voice. She's the best.
That's why I'm sub
the
all the
best.
way. Like subtitles.
So if you want to talk about the sub, actually this isn't the first time in the last few months I've tried to rewatch Evangelion. My brother had actually found like the original DVD releases of the show in the library and like got them. And like these are like hard to find, like valuable because they're not anywhere to be seen. Because like if you buy a release now, it's going to be the newer dub. And so I was like, okay, I'll start on this. The older dub I don't like the older dub at all. Like the voices, I don't know, the voices just don't work for me. I don't know.
It was all we had at the time, Castleman.
I know. I'm just not a big fan of the older dub. And honestly, I stopped after the first episode just because I wasn't vibing too much with the original dub. I really like the Netflix dub. I really do. I think of the two dub casts, it's my preferred one. Like, yeah, you know, if you want to go, I feel like I'm the only person in here who does watch the dub. I don't know. Sometimes I just want to get more into the. Honestly, I think the main thing is like I will never watch like a live action movie dubbed. I think that is like that is uncomfortable and inhumane to me. But like when it comes to animation, you can like sync up voices better. And honestly, I just like enjoying the visuals without too much text on screen. I think it really just comes down to that. I don't know, and that's the thing. I just want to really be able to appreciate this. Like, I honestly, Evangelion is a show I wish I knew Japanese for, because then I'd turn on the original dub and turn off subtitles just so I can really listen to it. Yeah, but no, I watched the Netflix sub, which I do like.
What about you, Danny? What did you watch?
I kind of like Castleman. I flip-flopped. So when I originally watched it, I actually watched it in the English dub, and then I had to switch to the sub because the English dub was not the best for me. But when I'm rewatching it now, I kind of flip-flop between the dub and the sub because like Castleman said, like I like to get really into the visuals of it, especially because it's such a beautiful show.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I watch it sub. I appreciate the dubs for what they are, but every time I watch Evangelion, I'm so in love with Megumi Ogata's voice for Shinji, and also Misato's voice actress, and Asuka's and Rei's and everyone.
You mean my
It's
wife?
just so fantastic. Don't start with me, Kafka. Don't start with me, Kafka.
Man,
We're talking about Misato Katsuragi. That's my girl.
I mean,
but-
she may be your girl, but you know, she's my wife.
Ow. Ow. On my birthday,
Oh,
Kafka.
okay.
On my birthday. So, anyways,
it's
next
not your birthday yet.
moving on.
Yeah, it's not your birthday yet. Thank you for the support, Castleman. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
Because
It's pretty
yeah.
bully Castleman behavior.
Yeah, because Masato is my wife,
Excuse me?
Damn.
Yeah, you
No,
didn't
no
know
friend.
Rizzo?
Danny's my only friend on this podcast.
I got your back, man. Also, because literally everyone else in the show is a child, so there aren't really many options.
Yeah, no, I can't
Yeah.
really say any. Well, I guess you could say Ritsuko, the scientist lady.
Ritsuko's mom too.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, yeah, the
Kaji.
Yeah, I
don't know.
feel if you're asking me who the Evangelion best girl is, I would feel weird saying anyone but Misato.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
Yeah, it's a little weird, champ, when someone like says anyone other than Misato or Ritsuko.
because the
I
point of the
mean-
show goes like completely.
I mean,
over their head.
if you want to say it, who do you think like Shinji is better with? I feel like that's a more quantitative response. But if you're saying who's your personal best girl, I feel like Misato is like the safest option.
Not to be like save it for the podcast while we're doing the podcast, but I feel like we should save this for the Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0 discussion, because that's going to be a point of contention in that podcast. I feel.
Okay, so we should save the who's the Shinji OTP for that one.
Yeah, because I have a take you're going to hate, Castleman. So I'm gonna tease that for later.
I don't know. You don't. We're not talking about it, so you don't know if I'll hate it or not.
No, but I know your taste in the show, and I think you're gonna hate this take.
Well, we're not talking about things, so how do you know that I'm gonna hate it? Because we're expressly avoiding this topic.
Okay, so moving on. Evangelion the series. Yeah, 25 and 26. I remember it was really cool at the time. Oh, sorry, Castleman. Do you have any more to say on the rest of the show? My bad.
Hold on, let me check the old notes.
Or not Castleman. I mean, anyone else can. I mean,
okay.
Castleman. I don't know.
Okay, not me then.
Sorry, no, Castleman, go, please. I'm sorry.
Well, anyway, the rest of my notes are about shipping, so let's get...
No, oh, really? Joking. They are?
No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Okay.
I'm joking. I'm not a shipper. How
UPS?
None of our listeners, please do not conflate me with that. Hold on. Yeah, actually, my last few notes are about the 2 episodes. Never mind.
Okay. I just feel like while we're talking about this and we're recording, I just want to say that probably my favorite like stretch of episodes is the 4th child stuff.
Really?
That's all I'll say for Danny and your rewatch. I don't want to say too much, but I love that stuff, and I think it is. I don't know. Just love the brutality of the Evas.
I will say my favorite stretch of episodes is probably 21 through 24, I'd say.
Yeah, those episodes are fantastic.
I really love like the flashback episodes and really giving more contextualization to everything, and I feel like I just feel like it makes the characters a lot more interesting in terms of especially the older ones. Yeah, I'm a big fan of those episodes.
Yeah, I love those episodes too. And it's cool because Evangelion does have that sort of out of order storytelling for a lot of stuff. And I think that by that point things clear up, which is why I always say Evangelion always hits on a rewatch, because like having that information and then going in from the beginning does really change the way you view everything.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of starting to view like the hidden meaning too. Or I guess not the hidden meaning, but like the less literal meaning of the show like really shows up on the rewatch.
It's also like Evangelion is the kind of show that just throws a lot of words at you that like aren't real words, and then it just like expects you to know them. So you like, I don't know, like if I feel like if you asked anyone who like just watched like End of Evangelion and asked them like, oh, what are the gates of Guff? They probably wouldn't have an answer for you on a first watch because they don't really explain that.
they might have a biblical answer for you, but not
Yeah,
a
in the
not
show,
not the show version.
in the show, or like what's the significance of the Lancelot? And it's like that stuff is just like I think you pick that up as you go. And honestly, it took me several years to like really get this movie. Having watched it from such a young age. But sorry, and watching the show. We'll talk about the movie in a second. But just on final points on the show, 25 and 26. I remember it was like the cool thing on the internet to like hate on these episodes for a while. And people would like convince you that the whole show is bad because of these two episodes. But I feel like every Evangelion fan on their like first watch probably like hates these episodes and then goes back and like loves them after having watched End of Evangelion. Like these episodes I think tie so well into that movie. And I feel like Evangelion truly would not be what it is without 25 and 26.
I mean, it's
I agree with
already
you.
changed by this point, right? Because back then, like, like you said, like people would say, like, "Oh yeah, Evangelion, like the show, it's so great till like the final two episodes." But now it's basically like even like others when they recommend the show, they're gonna be like, "Yeah, I mean, Evangelion's really great." But 25 and 26, they are a bit challenging, but you have to watch End of Evangelion afterwards. So that's basically like how it is now at this point. So it's like I think those two episodes don't have the hate that it did, the vitriol that, we've been like learning about all these years.
But there was a time where it was cool to hate on these episodes.
Yeah, like fucking it broke Ano. So well, almost broke
Yeah,
him.
almost broke him.
I kind of felt Anna was already broken.
Oh yeah.
I mean, to create something like Evangelion and not be broken would be unheard of.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think like, how do these images come from someone's brain? You know, like someone had to dream these pictures up in their mind, and that process is so fascinating to me as a director and just as a consumer of the show. Because I was talking about how I watched Evangelion, didn't really get it, but like it still managed to like grip me.
Yeah.
It's still just because of the striking images and the music and the characters. Even if I didn't understand the story, I like felt the feelings that Anna wanted me to feel,
Yeah,
and that's what drew me to it.
that's kind of how I was too. Like I mentioned earlier, but when I first watched it, I kind of felt like I was dreaming because I didn't really understand it, but I felt it, you know? And even the images alone are so powerful. But then also once you start to like delve further, then obviously there's more, but the visuals themselves, yeah, are just stunning.
And I can honestly say, even Neon Genesis Evangelion inspires every piece of art that I make as a director, as a filmmaker. In one of the films I write and direct, Ano is always on the mind in terms of storyboarding and prep and shot design and blocking and in editing and in music. It's just one of my biggest inspirations and one of the things that I have based my directing style upon. And my movies, a sort of brutalist, and as I said, aggressive and loud and kind of industrial vibe is something that I really strive for as a director.
Yeah, I mean, back when I was in architecture school, I actually used Evangelion as a inspiration for one of my buildings, like a modular housing
Yeah.
unit or whatever. But it
Wow.
inspired me too. Like inspires everything I do, even my drawings. Like the way that I draw people is so inspired by Evangelion. So I totally agree with you.
Wow. It's a really powerful piece of work, and it's really amazing to me that it just is able to touch people in so many ways and get those emotions out of them.
Well, so when I first watched 25 and 26, I guess I did have it just sort of felt like a when I first watched this, I guess I did have the common Evangelion experience where I think my words. I actually looked up the original tweet. I think I said I was like, "Oh, so episode 25 is just a PowerPoint." Um and I don't know. Yeah, and like Emil's told me that like yeah, so basically they're running out of time to finish the show, and this is what we got. And the existence of End of Evangelion makes these episodes way better in retrospect. Yes, and I totally agree with that. There's still like I don't know if I fully 100% love them because there's always like this little drawback to like do we really need 2 episodes like this? And like because I almost feel like I feel like in terms of everything we get, like 26 I really love, but 25 is pushing it. I don't know, it's kind of hard to like sort of reconcile everything together, but like it both feels like, oh yeah, there's just a lot of almost pretentious self self talk and really introspective, but at the same time I love it. And it's like I've loved it way more on this recent rewatch. And like after I finished rewatching it, I was like, I can't watch End of Evangelion right away. I gotta go on a walk. I gotta like think about this. So I just sort of went on a walk. I went on a hike up a mountain and watched the sunset. Just thinking about these last 2 episodes. And like I mean, that's why my intro sort of I was talking about self-hatred. I don't know, as like that is as someone who has sort of struggled with that in the past, like the way that these episodes sort of are very much about internalizing that. It's very interesting. And I feel like it's a very interesting way to approach it. If like this honestly, the way I've sort of come around on this, because End of Evangelion exists, of course that's like the true end to the series. The thing about these 2 episodes is that I'd probably say that they're like, if if they were rushed for time and they wanted to, I feel like they're doing what they wanted to, with the themes and the ideas and the character motivations and all these things that they wanted to explore. Like I really do feel like, yeah, this is like, given their time restraints, I think this is about as good as you could have made, and it is really, really good. I really love those 2 episodes.
They're definitely unlike anything else.
Yep.
Kafka, do you have anything to say?
Oh, I'm all set. I'm all set for the end.
All right, so let's move on to talking about the main event, the end of Evangelion. So this is my favorite movie, tied with Spider-Man 2. It is just like I'm gonna need a minute. I'm gonna need a minute. Let's get into initial reactions. Danny, you just rewatched this for the first time in a while, correct?
Yes, I haven't seen it since maybe like first year college.
Okay, wow. So it's been a little bit. So how did you feel watching this movie?
Wow, I feel like even that's a loaded question.
It is.
It was really interesting because I was trying to let myself get caught up in the story and still try to like, all right, let me analyze this. But it just it feels like such a perfect way to encapsulate that feeling of like, what am I thinking of? Like, it's so overwhelming, you know? Like you're overwhelmed with all of the pain, all of the pain, all of the pain, and you're overwhelmed by the relief of the pain and then but still lack of pleasure, whatever. Like, I don't know, I just felt like every feeling that the movie was trying to convey, I felt that while watching it. And I don't know. It's just such an abstract feeling.
It really does feel like unlike any other movie I've ever seen. I will say they're no that I've not seen another movie that has the same sort of emotion that is invoked by it. But cool. So Castleman. Actually, wait. Let's go to Renzo first because you saw this more recently, Renzo. I saw it with you recently before this podcast.
Yeah.
So Castleman, I know you're gonna have more to say, so I'll save you for after. So what were your thoughts, Renzo?
Oh man. Uh, shoot. Man, one of the most like cerebral experiences of my life, honestly. Like, this is Hideaki Anno at his most nihilistic and like visually striking. Um, I mean, once you've seen the imagery of what Anno does in this movie, like it's gonna be ingrained to your brain till the day you die. Like once you've seen this movie, like there are certain shots, like you would just like, yeah, like I'm never gonna forget it. Like that's how great Anno was in like his visuals. Like you think the visuals from like the show is already great. This one is the standout. This is the one that you'll remember the most. And honestly, Anno just knocked it out of the park. And some people will be saying like, "Hey, is Anno's brain on drugs?" It's like, no, man. That's just how good Anno is in telling a good story. And I remember, like, I'm checking what I said on my letterbox review. Like, there's so many ways to dissect this movie, and that's the testament of how great it was. Like, each time you revisit this movie, like you get something out of it. So that's what I'll say for the movie for now. Yeah.
Castleman.
Um, hmm. Yeah, so End of Evangelion, is a film, and it was, made by, human beings, in
The
the
Green
late
Day human
90s.
beings.
Yeah, it was directed by Abed Nadir.
Jesus.
I would love it if Community did an Evangelion episode.
God.
Get in the robot, Troy.
Or Abed will have to do it.
um. So.
Wait, does Pierce say that?
No.
I'm
Here's
sorry.
his Gendo Ikari.
Oh dear. Anyway, okay.
He
All right.
does have the glasses.
The end of Evangelion. Oh dear God. Okay, I didn't know what I was gonna say, and now I know what I'm gonna say even less. Uh, the end of Evangelion, um, uh, is a animated feature film. Um. Okay,
Snaps, snaps, snaps.
so the thing about this movie is that I'll say I think among the four of us, I am the one has seen this movie the least. And again, this is the last couple weeks has been my second time watching Evangelion. Yeah, the second time I've watched Evangelion. I guess and through that, it's been a journey and been an experience. And so this is the second time I'm watching the Evangelion. I think what I gave in the Evangelion after I watched it the first time was like 4.5 stars. Because like, you know what, I I felt like some people, if they don't understand a movie, they'll rate it negatively against that movie. Well, with me, I if I don't quite understand everything, then I'm kind of okay with that. In certain cases. And on this on this rewatch, I still don't really understand everything. Like I'm kind of like trying to keep track of certain things and sort of comprehended things. Like eventually you just sort of give up and you just sort of let the movie flow over you, let every like little inch of all the visuals and the pain and the destructive depression, and you just sort of let yourself be like a drifting corpse being hit by the waves, which would the metaphorical waves, which is this movie, and you just sort of like become accustomed to it. Like the first 30 minutes, like you're just trying to like you might be worried trying to parse everybody's motivations, but eventually you just sort of let go and sort of figure it out. Like I do understand most of what this movie is doing. I think actually it's funny. I understand what this movie is saying more than I understand what is happening, which I think is an interesting little dichotomy here. But yeah. Um I give it a movie tote bag with an IMAX baseball cap tucked inside.
Oh,
Oh,
the ratings.
Oh yeah,
we haven't
I guess you
mentioned
guys
our
forgot to do ratings, but I remembered somehow.
He remembered.
Oh my god.
I give it an AMC Stubs membership out of 5.
I'd give this one a movie tote bag with an additional like Rubik's cube because
Mm.
no one could psychoanalyze the human brain like a Rubik's cube than Hideaki Anno. So there you go. I'll add an additional Rubik's cube to that. Emil?
Yeah. So, I went to go see this movie in a movie theater. It was screening at a Regal downtown, so I went to go see it. And I've been thinking for a long time about what I'm going to say, and I feel like I had so much stuff prepared before in my mind. I was like, I know exactly what I'm going to say on this movie, but then I get here and I'm freezing up. I'm freezing up because there's so much in this film to talk about, but I think I just kind of left the theater feeling a little bit empty. I didn't listen to music on the train ride home. I kind of just sat there, which is weird because I always listen to music on the train. But I couldn't for this one. I just kind of needed to sit and think and ruminate. And I think this is a movie that teaches you a different lesson every time you watch it because there is so much going on. Because Hideaki Anno is doing so much and saying so much, and expressing so much. And I don't think you're meant to get all of it. I think Anno wants you to get what you want to get from this film. I think I think he's oh god, how do I say this? I think he's made an experience where it's okay not to understand. It's you just gotta feel. And he did that excellently. But then if you go in and break down the story, it's some of the most excellent character work I've seen in an animated film. It's what is this movie on Letterboxd right now? It's like in the top 20 or something, in the top 250 or 24 or something like that.
Yeah, it's 24.
It's like 24, which is just insane to me. If you ever look through the Letterboxd reviews of this movie, it's just everyone talking about how this movie gave them a mental breakdown. And I think that really says a lot about how Anno just really made something never seen before. This movie fundamentally changed what I think an animated movie can be. It broke kind of every rule and did it with style and grace and did what he wanted to do and somehow also just made the rest of Evangelion even better. I don't think Evangelion would be the classic it is without this movie. And it just all is just such a perfect, complete package. And this is one of my favorite works of art ever. And I think that this movie, I'm going to make a bold claim. This movie, I think, should be held in just as high of a regard as any of the Studio Ghibli films. I wouldn't say that about any of the other Evangelion movies, except maybe 4.0. But I think this one is just a masterpiece and a feat of cinema. Yeah. So let's get into the characters, the story a little bit. What was the most shocking or striking image in the film for you guys? I'm really curious.
The end credits, the middle credits.
Oh yeah.
The middle
I
credits
don't
that
know if
look
it was
like
the
a
most
DNA
striking, but for,
No,
can
but it's a ballsy choice, and it was a
Yeah.
great choice.
Well, can I tell you guys what the what my 3 notes for this movie are?
Yeah.
The first bullet is I don't know. Second bullet is fucked up. Third bullet is credits in the middle of the movie. And that's all I wrote down. Usually I have
Yeah.
like so many notes written out for all the movies we talk about because I have like so many little points I want to go over. With this one, I've been thinking about it the last 24 hours, and I that's all I got. But yeah, like having the credits in the middle of the movie, I mean that's like I don't know because they keep on going. Like they keep going, and then there's like multiple moments where you think they're over, and then they keep going, and they're all in Japanese, so I can't even read them. And it's just like, okay,
It's meditation time, Castleman.
yeah. I
They
mean,
just want you to sit and think about what you just watched.
it is kind of like a nice little break. It's like the intermission, you know. I maybe more movies should do this. You know, if you have a really long 3-hour movie, maybe they should just put the credits in the middle of the film.
Well, one point I'll make, and we'll talk about the ending more in depth later, but I want to say the payoff of the end credits being in the middle of the movie, being that final image, just ending the film. Guys, in theaters, it was kind of crazy because people left in the middle of in the first when the credits rolled, in the middle of the movie, but then the feeling of just seeing the end and then just the lights turning on. Again, unlike any other movie experience I've ever had, everyone was confused. Like, wait, that was it? It's over? Like it's done after just seeing those final images. So I think that the payoff there is very good.
Well, what I can say there is that you ever consider that maybe the credits at the end of the movie, they're not just crediting all the great people who worked on the movie. They're almost like your safety, your refuge, your place to sit and take in what you just saw. Like, I am the sort of guy who, when the credits are rolling in a movie, I'll sometimes just sit there silently thinking, you know? I'll just be like sort of contemplating everything I went through, and maybe when you have the credits and you have the music that accompanies the credits, you know, which is related to the movie, usually, I feel like it's a perfect sort of perfect little safe place to contemplate everything you've been through, with that film. And like this is basically Ano ripping away that safe place by putting in the middle of the film, because now he's leaving you with that final image, and he's leaving you completely unprepared to go out in the world after that.
Well, it's kind of like mirroring like kind of what Shinji is going through because the whole time they're like you're living well, not even in a dream, you're escaping reality,
Yeah.
and he has to snap out of that dream. So almost like we have to snap out of the dream that we or not the dream, sorry, but hit like that fantasy, like we have to snap out of that fantasy just as fast as he does, you know? So it kind of even mirrors his experience throughout the movie itself.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, I regret not being able to see this in a theater because I feel like the sequence where like you actually see the movie theater and I guess the audience can be reflected inside the film itself. Like, I
Yeah.
bet that was extremely special in a movie theater.
Castleman, you really blew my mind with the whole like the credits is the safety point. That really blew. I was like, dang, I did. Oh my god. But yeah, I do agree with the point with like the message of like avoiding reality because like it's like our comfort is in like our dreams and our fantasies. So it's like, you know what? This is Ano's My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh god.
So-
One thing that was sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead,
No,
go
no,
ahead, Renzo.
One of the most striking because you did ask like what was one of the most like striking images from this film. One of them has to be the what was it? One of them has to be like when everyone was starting to turn into Fanta. Beautiful moment. Beautiful moment, in my opinion. Like, wow.
That wasn't Fanta. That was Sunkissed. Don't you really understand the
I love
complex
Fanta.
themes?
It was
Yeah,
actually
no,
Happy
it was
Meal.
clearly Diet Sunkiss. You weren't paying enough of attention.
Are we about to start the whole
Yeah.
like? Was it sun-kissed or was it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you really want to understand Evangelion, you have to understand what soda everybody was melting into.
um.
Oh, I will
So,
say,
some might say they were melting in the Sunny D. You don't know.
Sunny.
um, yeah, I will say for me, I guess like going back to the most visually striking moment, that the bursting eyeball when Ava 1 like bursts out of that is like
Oh my god.
that has been ingrained in my memory since I saw it. Like it has informed so much of my work and just so much of my like visual like consumption. Like it informs the way that I consume media now, and it's just like a couple frames, but it's so like stunning to me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This movie's full of them. I was really, I'm really glad that none of us chose the same ones because there's so many.
I mean,
I
there's. Oh, go ahead, Emil. Sorry for interrupting.
Oh no, go ahead. No, go ahead. Gives me more time to think because I haven't decided yet.
Oh, one thing that like a scene that always haunts me from this movie was, you know how Asuka was like super injured now? Like the unit is already like injured, and like she just kept trying to move it, but her
Hmm.
other eye has been hit. So, she's experiencing the pain. And it's like, but here, like, in the anime, like we've come to know like that concept and like, if the unit gets damaged, like on the inside, they feel the pain. But in this one, it's like it's amplified up to an 11, and it just kind of like traumatizes you just seeing it. Like especially like God, like ugh. Like I get chills thinking about it. So I just wanted to mention that part. So yeah.
Yeah. So I I think I've really been thinking about it a lot, but I think probably in my mind it's the shot of the mass production Avas ripping the intestines of Unit 2.
Oh,
Oh,
Good,
nice.
Um
yeah, good choice.
uh or the other option that I had was the famous close up of Shinji's face as he's screaming.
That was actually
Yeah.
the first one that I came to mind until, and then because it cuts to the credits right afterwards, that's why I said the credits.
Yeah. And in the Japanese version, Megumi Ogata's scream in that is just seared into my memory. Um, just really, really crazy stuff. I I realize we haven't spoken much on the story of the movie, so I feel like things kind of just happen in this movie, and it's very high stakes and very high pressure. The beginning involves Nerve being stormed by the government, and just shit is just breaking loose. And I want to say, I really, when I was younger watching this movie, I didn't really like the Nerve subplot that much because I just wanted to see more Shinji. But as I've gotten older, I've appreciated that more. I think some of the most powerful moments in the movie are in the Nerve base with oh my god, I can't even remember the names, but the two people that work for Nerve, Maya Ibuki and the other guy, I can't remember his name, but the guy that
Whichever
voiced
the guy with long hair or the guy with glasses.
both of them. I love both of
Um,
those guys. I love all of them.
some great guys.
Love those dudes, but I've appreciated that more, and it really kind of grounds everything in the movie, which is crazy because it is a pretty high stakes thing. But when you're it's Asuka fighting the mass production Avas, it's Shinji just doing whatever the fuck Shinji's doing in this movie. Like I don't know. I think some of those moments, particularly during the LCL scene, just
It's
really hit home.
I just look it up. It's Oba is the
Boba.
long hair guy, and Makoto Hyuga is the guy with glasses.
Yeah. Which Ibuki was in love with Ritsuko, and Hyuga was in love with Misato.
Wait, Oh, there were. Oh, okay.
In love with my
Yeah,
wife?
in the
Dang it.
because when they're getting turned into Fanta or Sunkist, you
Oh,
decide.
yeah.
Ibuki sees Ritsuko's face, and she types "I need you" on the computer.
Hmm.
And because when instrumentality's happening, they're seeing the person they love the most.
So if I turn into Fanta, I'll see my wife Misato, or if not Misato, it's gonna be Sarah, right?
That's that. It'll just be an illusion, buddy.
What do you mean an illusion?
You
What are you
know,
talking
then you'll
about?
turn to Fanta. So basically, okay. One thing. Okay, let's talk about the beginning. Outside of that, so I think this is like the title card, the opening of the movie being the hospital scene. We're far enough into this video now that YouTube won't demonetize us for talking about this. In the hospital scene, I feel like I have to say, I think I think that I would defend this scene being in the movie. I know people say a lot of shit about it, but I would really defend this thing being in the movie. And that title sequence where it just Shinji just says, "I'm so fucked up," and then cuts straight, episode 25. Wow. I get chills every time because it's like, if you think about it, that's the catalyst of the movie. That's like what starts everything. That's the compounding reason why Shinji is as depressed as he is in the beginning, because he realized what he did to this person that he has very complicated feelings towards.
Shinji jacking off started a chain reaction that destroyed the world. How about that?
Yeah, kinda. And then you go back to the Misato scene later, where she's, where right before she kisses him, and she kind of addresses it. She's like, everyone makes mistakes. I've made mistakes, but right now we need to, there are bigger things going on, and I need you to make this decision, like yourself. You're the only one that can, because at this point I'm unable to, and I'm unable to do anything. But you need to stop being passive. And by the way, let me just say, I think Shinji Ikari is my favorite passive protagonist in all of fiction. Is that a hot take to say?
No, I think that tracks.
Yeah.
Define a passive protagonist.
Shinji is a character that does not make decisions. Things happen to him, and he is and he just kind of does them because he has to, but not because he wants to. And he never actively makes those decisions. Things are thrust onto him. That's a bad way to say it.
Some
but
are great, some achieve greatness, some have greatness thrust upon them.
Yeah.
William Shakespeare.
Yeah. Yeah. So, sorry, I'm yapping a lot. What do you guys think?
Well, while we're on it, do you want to talk about the kiss that Masato gives him?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's like, excuse me.
Well,
why?
She's cheating on both of you.
Well, we have an understanding. She's motivating him to save the world.
and then it's her final push, and then she literally pushes him into the elevator and makes him make a decision.
Yeah.
But I like the kiss only because I love the scene following it where I love the scene following it where Shinji's in the elevator and he's crying because he knows that this is the last time he will ever see her because of the blood on his lips.
Yeah.
That's another powerful image. Powerful image to me. So I feel like
it's a really interesting way to end their whole dynamic relationship throughout the show, because she's almost sort of struggling to be his guardian/mother figure in the show, and this is her almost. I don't want to say she's giving up on that, but she's trying to figure out how to, because he's this person who's, he's never really experienced any genuine affection from anybody. He's like this miserable, depressed existence. And this is like her in the moment trying to figure out that one push of genuine affection to get him going. Like it's like it's almost her desperate push trying to figure out what she can do to get him out of this almost catatonic depression he's currently in.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of tracks throughout the whole like film and show too, is that he's like devoid of a mother, so he's looking for that in anyone. Like that, this movie and show is so like Freudian in its sense of like the connection to the mother and like that desire for the mother, um, and that he seeks it out almost in everyone, like especially Misato, and then she like wants to fill that role. So it's just a very interesting dynamic seeing how like everyone plays off of that, almost mothering him in a way, you know?
And then
Yeah.
his mom is like represented by Ray, or and of course there's all the weird shit between them. There's this is a weird fucking franchise.
And then also Yui being in the soul of Evangelion Unit 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And also in this movie, I mean, there's that beautiful scene where Shinji talks to Yui during instrumentality. When he rejects instrumentality, he's in the LCL pool as a human, and he's the only human, and he sees the spirit of Yui, and she's like, "Are you gonna be okay?" And he's like, "Yeah." Like that's a fucking that gets me every time. It's yeah, it's a lot. It's a very, very emotional and just powerful scene.
Yeah.
What else? Did we all talk about the kiss?
Yes, we did. Oh, how
All
about
right,
the
so
music?
let's. Oh, the music, yeah. Fuck, dude. Shiro Sagiso, the goat.
And the
Same
song?
Oh yeah, the song. Oh my god.
Mm.
Come Sweet Death. I almost named a movie after this song.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. But I think next big sequence, and I always love talking about this. Asuka versus the mass production Avas. Oh my god. This is one of my favorite like animated fights ever. Like Asuka just from picking up from where the show goes on, where Asuka is in her lowest state, and her realizing that her mother was within her and within the Ava the entire time, getting the like I don't know the music just coming up and listening to it with the big like theater speakers, just like was the hypest shit ever, honestly. And she was fucking him up. And it was so nice to see Asuka win for a second before getting impaled.
Before getting absolutely demolished.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about that sequence?
It's crazy. Like it's one of the best. I'd say it's one of the best animated fight scenes in cinema.
Yeah.
I remember. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Castleman.
I was just gonna say it like goes so insanely hard and it goes crazy and it like it's a perfect encapsulations of Asuka's psyche at that moment. Yeah. Anyway, you answer.
Yeah, because I remember I remember shout out to Tay. So when Tay watched End of Evangelion for the first time, Tay was so mind blown on like how great that sequence was. So
Locked in.
it's a true testament on like how Ano really like directed the crap out of that sequence.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was just amazing to look at.
So on top of all the amazing story stuff, yeah, it's also has amazing action. Because of course it does. It just also has to. I will say I always love the shot that was in the show of Asuka like unconscious in the Ava, where it like kind of is a very slow pan in, and she's like talking to herself and her mom in the Eva, and it's like kind of a jump scare when she like screams. She's like, "I don't want to die." I always love that shot. That one, that's always one of my favorites. And again, in theaters with the booming speakers was crazy. So next up, yeah, we talked about the credits. Yeah, that final sequence with Shinji scream, fantastic. Does anyone else have anything to say on that?
Honestly,
Traumatized.
I'm excited. Oh, sorry, one.
No, it's just traumatized, and it just makes you realize like how much like these Eva pilots, like how much they're so vulnerable, like the emotional vulnerability of these kids, like the amount of pressure, the amount of like pain that they endure, and at the same time like they have to like fight. It's like just insane, truly insane, and truly sad at the same time.
All right, so let's move to 26. So I want to get more in depth on instrumentality, human instrumentality, the third impact. Just like we've said this a million times on this podcast already, but just like, how does someone make this? You know,
Wow.
like how does someone make this? How do you will these images into existence? Like,
Well, you get a lot of death threats.
yeah,
Saying that you made like the worst episodes of all time, the worst finales of all time, and yeah. And then you get suicidal, and then you'll try to end it all, and yeah,
and then
this
you
is
lock
how
in.
you lock in. It's like, you know what? All this self hatred that I'm feeling, I want you guys to feel it. Feel what I felt, you sickos. So there you go.
Um, so I want to say I think the whole point of Evangelion is talking about how it all comes back to Hedgehog's dilemma. We feel like we are hedgehogs with our spines around, and we're scared to get around other hedgehogs because we're scared we get hurt if we get too close. That's kind of the whole thing about Evangelion and the whole Shinji's whole character arc. And
I will say that the quote in this movie that actually hit me the hardest, and it's not like it's actually I was because I'm not sure if I'm remembering this quote. I don't know if I'm able to phrase it correctly because I'm looking up quotes from this movie and I can't find it. So it's not, I guess it's not like a really well-known Evangelion quote, but on this rewatch, it's and it ties into exactly what you're saying. This is the quote from this rewatch that hit the hardest, and I just can't find it online anywhere, so I may be misremembering it. But I think it's when Shinji says something like, "I want to meet new people again," and that's for me is the line of the movie. Like, because it sort of encapsulates everything where he's. Because it's interesting. Like, I feel like you could go with different things somebody could say at the end of their arc, you know? Because, like, Shinji's entire, like, you know, episode of explosive, destructive depression and anxiety and complete, like, everything that's wrong with him. I feel like there's different ways that other writers would have someone like sort of come to the end of this arc and sort of decide that maybe humanity is worth all the pain. But like having Shinji say the line, and this ties into that Hedgehog's dilemma about the being pricked by other people. Like I want to meet new people again. Like to me, it sort of like it's interesting. Again, I don't know if someone else would have verbalized it in that way. You know, someone's like, "Oh, oh man, humanity is worth it because of love or whatever." No, it's not. That's not what he's saying. He's saying specifically, "I want to meet new people again." And when you just think about what meeting new people like can be, what the fear of that can be, what the pain of that can often be, the anxiety, all of these things. I think yeah, that of all the lines in this movie, that's the one I walked away from. Which I don't know if that's weird, because I can't find this anywhere. I mean, you've seen it enough times. Am I remembering that line right, Emil?
Well, I will say subs are different, and the subs that I watched on the theatrical version are different, I think, from the other subs that I've seen. So it could I don't know, but that does tie in, and I can jump off of that saying, well, think about what instrumentality is. It's the ultimate plan to bring all of humanity to being one being, to become a part of God again, to become a part of Lilith. And part of that is taking out our physical bodies, stripping away our physical bodies, and losing the individuality. But it also says that our bodies are a prison. Our bodies are prisons and loneliness is a disease that we all have, because we are prisoners in our own bodies and are unable to fully understand what other people are saying. That's the thesis of this movie. That's what it's saying with instrumentality, and Shinji being the person to reject it and reject the loss of pain. The whole reason they do instrumentality is because Gendo wants to see Yui again and doesn't want to be hurt again. And Shinji earlier in the series would have been someone that would have accepted instrumentality and would have simply just done it and accepted the lack of pain and just been that person. But Shinji being the only person besides Asuka to reject it and tell Lilith that he's okay with being hurt is truly like one of the most surprising character arcs and surprisingly optimistic moments of this movie. In this movie filled with so much existential dread and terror. Again, the whole point being, why are we're afraid of others? We are scared to get hurt. But the one character that has been afraid of getting hurt the most chooses to accept pain because that's what makes us human. It's just beautiful.
No, it's stunning, and honestly, like, I know this wasn't like the point of the movie, but it also kind of reminded me of the concept of like ego death too. That like in order to like really connect with the universe, you have to like give up your physical form, and like you are one with everything. Like it's the realization that I am not a singular being, I am a part of a whole. And I think that's really interesting, like how the themes of like psychology kind of play into this too. Because again, like I said earlier, like the Freudian psychology or whatever, but also like it kind of like I said, like reminded me of like ego death, and I think that kind of was really interesting because everyone that comes out of that also comes out with like a sunnier disposition on life, kind of like not saying that Shinji is cured of his depression, but he comes out of it like you said, like he says he wants to meet new people. So I think that just that parallel kind of really intrigued me.
Yeah. What do you think, Kafka?
I'm still thinking about this movie. Man. Yeah. Like I'm in deep thought. Like I am in deep thought with this movie. It's like, God. I'm even just thinking about like the titles, like each title of this movie, like episode 25, Air, Love is Destructive, and then episode 26, Sincerely Yours and I Need You. Like, yeesh.
I want to also say I absolutely love the conversation that Shinji and Asuka have during instrumentality, where they're talking, their minds are kind of speaking to each other, because it's just like it doesn't feel like them, but it also feels like them. We're not looking at the physical representations of these characters. It's like, imagine if your mind was melded with someone else and you could just hear the other person's thoughts. You are all one being. And you're getting to see every deep, dark corner of their mind and what they think of you. And Shinji's mind is talking to Asuka's, or Shinji's soul is talking to Asuka's soul, like talking about the rawest emotions they feel about each other. and Asuka's saying, "Hey, I know you jerk off to me. Like it's fine. Keep doing it." And Shinji's like, he's a 14-year-old boy who just doesn't understand these feelings because he's never been loved and he doesn't know and he doesn't understand. And he's very sexually repressed, and that's why he does things like this. That's why he's someone who just wants to be wanted and wants to be loved and wants to feel like he's a worthy member of society and worth something. Because he seeks that from other people because he never got that. And just that them screaming at each other, it's just like it feels like a conversation that would never happen in real life, but if this happened, if instrumentality happened, that's definitely what a conversation would be like. If your inner deepest darkest thoughts were fighting someone else's inner deepest darkest thoughts, especially if you have history. Yeah.
No, damn, I'm thinking about that.
I've watched this movie a lot of times, and I've thought about it a lot of different ways.
I mean, you've guided me through it. Like, there were some times wherein like I was so confused. That's why I enjoyed the second time watching this movie. When I had the commentary from you, I was like asking questions like, what is really happening with this scene? And then you were willing to guide me through it, and it was great. So it was nice.
Welcome.
So I thank you for that, Professor
welcome.
Emil.
One day, it would be like my goal in life to introduce this movie at a film festival one day, or like introduce a screening of this movie. Like, you know how like people watch like older films? Yeah, I'll be like, I'm not affiliated with this movie at all. I just like watch this movie a lot. So, Castleman, do you have anything else to say, or Danny? Castleman or Danny, either of you guys?
Trying to think. No, I mean, I guess I'll just say that the biblical themes in this are really interesting, and I kind of thought like it was really cool how like by the end that Asuka and Shinji kind of became the new like Adam and Eve. I thought that was kind of interesting. Like they're gonna lead like the new humanity. I find the biblical themes very interesting. Even as someone who didn't grow up Christian, I grew up like Muslim, but still like those biblical themes really intrigue me. So I just thought that was like a fun like point.
Because I did want to talk about the ending, but I don't know if you guys are ready for that yet. Because I have an interpretation of this.
I'm ready.
I'm ready to listen to what the interpretation is.
Castleman, you ready?
Castleman.
Yeah.
Castleman became Fanta.
Okay.
Castleman.
So, I'll go last. I'll ask you guys first. How did you guys just raw reactions to the final scene of the movie? To the final scene of on the beach, of Shinji and Asuka both rejecting instrumentality.
Shocked. I was shocked when the first thing that Shinji does is actually like choke her. And then it was that moment wherein like what stopped Shinji from like choking her was that caress to the face very slowly and Shinji's reaction. And as you've said earlier, like that thing that's like he's looking for, and that small caress, that small like intimacy, even though that it's not really that much of an intimacy at that point, it's the thing that stops him. It just shows like what he really needs and what he really wants. So yeah, that was what my interpretation for what that was. Danny, what's yours?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I kind of think I see like why, not that I'm not justifying it, but not like I see why he starts to like choke her or whatever, and then like that little caress is like that one little drop of like, genuine like care like that he's never had, and it's so small because you don't think of like just like a little caress of the face to be like so intimate and so like caring and real. And I think that really kind of changes something in him, you know? And it was a very powerful moment for me. Castleman?
I don't know. I'm trying to like collect my thoughts about this right now. Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I will say, when you're talking about like most like impactful visuals, like I know I ended up talking about the end credits, but I do think the most impactful visual to me is the very final one, which for some reason is spoiled on the poster. I don't know why. I feel like I don't know. I don't know why.
It's not the Japanese poster.
It's not, but it is the default poster on Letterboxd, which is not great. But yeah, no, that's a fucking great final visual.
Yeah. So my interpretation is very similar to Kafka's of this ending, but I will say one of my favorite things is just the micro details in how you just see the progression of these events without any words. So it's like Shinji, they wake up, Shinji chokes her, she caresses him, he lets go, he cries on her, she lets go, and she says, "How disgusting." I just there's just something so beautiful about Shinji and Asuka being the only two people left in humanity. And he finally gets what he wants. Care. Affection. An acknowledgement. A single small thing. So much so to the point he's weeping after he chokes her. And he lets go. And he changes his mind after basically trying to kill her. Second time choking her in this movie, by the way. Not enough people talk about that. He chokes Asuka twice in this movie. So, like, I just can't think of a better ending to Evangelion. Like that, it just makes so much sense. And it again, leaving the theater just on the light turning on after the end on that scene, just truly unlike anything else.
What a picture.
What a picture. So, does anyone else have anything else to say on the end of Evangelion?
I have just one point. You can honestly, like, you can even cut it if you want. I just wanted to say it, but like, I kind of like how this movie like says that like we cannot contain like another's personality within our own, if that makes sense. Like, we cannot fully understand another person, and like Shinji cannot fully open himself to someone else before understanding that he cannot like control like I think the love they give to him because he's so like broken and so unloved. Like, I don't know if I'm making any sense, but it's just so interesting how like it shows that like love is not conditional. Like, even though Shinji hasn't received a lot of love, he still like kind of like wants people to love him a certain way. And he's like, I'm not saying like, oh, like beggars can't be choosers, but because you know love should be something that's unconditional. But like the way he views it is so broken that it shows that like he cannot like even really let anyone into his life. He cannot contain their personality until he's like okay with realizing it that he has no control over them. And I know that sounds bizarre and abstract, but yeah.
No, you're cooking. You're cooking. Oh man.
Yeah, excellent movie.
Excellent movie. It's a banger.
Great movie.
5 out of 5. Even though I still don't understand all of it, 5 out of 5.
Okay.
Yeah, 5 out of 5. Movie tote bag.
Make it a double feature with Fire Walk with Me, and that's Kino. That's a Kino night. Just saying. Hey, you know what?
Night.
You know what? Neon Genesis Evangelion, at first it's gonna be like, oh look, a mecha anime, and then it just turns on into something else. And then, hey, look, Twin Peaks, it's about a murder mystery. It's not a murder mystery. It's more than that. There you go. Lynch.
Yeah.
No. Gods. There you go.
So, all this to say, watch Evangelion if you haven't, though I don't know why you would listen to this podcast if you hadn't seen it, because we just went pretty hard into spoilers on like everything that happens in this movie.
Oh my god.
Castleman, do you have any parting remarks?
Why do you keep coming to me, man?
I don't know.
Leave me alone.
I'm particularly curious about your opinion because you haven't seen this in a while, and you've seen it the least amount of times, and you are and I value your opinion as a creative. I don't know. I mean, I value all your opinions as creatives, of course, Danny and Kafka, but
you can't see what I'm doing right now. Maybe I'm trying to curl up like Shinji, and I need to be pushed into an elevator.
You're so fucked up, Castleman.
Yeah, maybe I need my wife to give me a good old kiss.
I'm sorry. Your wife? Don't you mean my wife?
Yeah. Oh no, dude. Look, this movie's a lot. And it's great, and I fucking love it. And it's just like honestly, I've gotten more existential the more we've talked about it.
Yeah.
So like you guys are talking about the movie, and as I'm listening to you, I'm just sort of sitting here like creeping into some kind of I don't know. I don't really know what to describe it. I don't know. This movie this is a movie that makes you think about like things that aren't even the movie itself, It's the sort of movie that after it ends, like you will be thinking about like the visuals you've just seen, but it is also going to like inspire all these other like thoughts in your head that like send you down this deep spiral of mental like exploration and trying to understand like some level of yourself and other people, and I don't know how the human race is connected. I maybe I'm just sort of rambling at this point, but I don't know. I guess Emil finally coaxed it out of me after I've been silent the last few minutes. I don't know. But this is yeah. Sometimes you just gotta get those movies. It's even more than just the movie itself. It's what it prompts in your brain. It's what it makes you think about. Yeah.
Well, I think that you're spitting, Castleman. Yeah, this is a movie that makes you think a lot and gets you feeling a certain type of way, and you kind of just need like a shower after, or like a long walk up a mountain. So,
well, me.
Yeah, I wish I had a mountain to climb
and a log to sit. Yeah,
and a log to sit on.
I like to sit on and watch the sunset.
Yeah. Well, I think that this should be wrapping everything up on the Dopio podcast, unless anyone has anything else to say.
Just makes me this movie makes me dissociate hard afterwards. But it's
Yeah, no, this isn't a movie that I would want to talk to anyone right after I watch it, I guess.
I used to watch this movie whenever I was depressed in like college and like high school, like actually.
Yeah. I mean, what I did after I watched this movie, I just started writing a script. Like, not something that even had any real relation to this movie. I just started writing it, and I just started like getting into it because I don't know. It just sort of had my creative juices getting flowing. After my juices were flowing after I saw all those characters erupt into Fanta.
Yeah.
Or Sunkissed.
Oh,
or
yeah.
Sunkissed.
Thank you, Enzo.
Comment on this video: Fanta or Sunkissed?
Yes, Fanta or Sunkissed.
My vote is for
prove that you've gotten this far.
Proof you've gotten this far.
Danny?
Oh no, I just said my vote is for Hupinha, but
Hupinha. That's a regional reference, but I appreciate it, Danny. Thank you.
I got you.
They wrapped in the screwdrivers.
Oh man. Well, thank you so much, Danny, for joining us for this episode of the Dopio podcast. It was a pleasure having you on, and I would love to have you back sometime.
Thank you for having me. I'd love to come back. Thank you so much. I love this movie, so it's a blast.
Hell
Yes, and it was no one else I'd rather talk about it with.
All
yeah. And
right.
also, and before we go, everyone remind this is a very happy birthday to Emil.
Oh,
Happy
thank you.
birthday, Emil! Happy
Emil.
birthday!
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
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 Congratulations!
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you all.
Congratulations.
You just played a clapping sound effect. So, are you gonna say it, or are you gonna say it, Renzo? Are you gonna say it, or are we just gonna?
Okay, I'm gonna say it now. I'm gonna say it. Hi, I'm Misato's husband, and there it is.
Oh, come on.